Today I'm joined on the Sensual Canvas Podcast to talk to Andy Lepe. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yay, exciting to finally have this podcast with you and this conversation.
I feel like the first time we met in person, it was really quick and I didn't really get to speak to you. And then the second time we spoke for like over an hour and we thought we should have just had like a camera rolling. This could have been a podcast on its own. So I'm really excited to get to talk to you today.
For sure. I thought the same thing. It was really cool. When you connect with somebody and the conversation just goes naturally so well. As artists, we kind of stick to our own thoughts and we keep them to ourselves, and we're introverted. A lot of us. Some of us are extroverted and we still keep those thoughts to ourselves.
I'm noticing that a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the things that I process like in the studio, I don't vocalize. And I think that's something so valuable, like when we're putting our content out like into social media and into the world. Like, I think that that's one part of the process that I'm realizing people really want to dive into. And so I'm slowly getting into that groove of like, okay, I need to just be a little bit more like outspoken with like the things going on like in here and in here. So
Right, I think so. Like this idea of connecting as artists,
yeah.
both emotionally and just relevant. Like we all go through the ups and downs, the roller coaster of being an artist, and we don't talk about that because I make tons of mistakes, but nobody sees it, and they only see the wins, the things that are executed to the fullest.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't share the thousands of mess ups, and those thousands of mess ups have to happen to become, to create something extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely. Take me like through a little bit of like your process. Like, firstly, like you're a professional artist. What type of art would you say? Do you categorize your art into like one specific realm or?
Yeah, so I'm a geometric abstract artist, but I've been actually going outside of that and doing kind of drip work where it's not focusing on order and balance, but more on just letting things, working through the mess, working through chaos. But I've been working on this series called Color Flow, the stuff that you see behind me. So it's very subtle transitions of color. And the reason I do that is because when I was younger, it was hard for me to actually find focus. There was no clarity. There was a lot of just ideas rushing through my head. And it was hard for me to actually focus on one specific topic at a time. So if in my head, I would have adventures, just random ideas where it would happen at any time, especially during class when I was bored. And I didn't know how to control the rush of ideas. But as I got older, I developed my creative meditation, which I call Color Flow, focusing on just color and subtle transitions and lines and just simple shapes, the fundamentals of what I feel art is. And it helped me focus on just a singular thing, which helped me gain clarity. And I also needed order and balance. So I created art that resembled that also. So I've been doing that for about 10 years. And my mind has helped, my art has helped my mind rewire. And I find clarity now and I find focus. And it's not just a rush of ideas. It's actually bringing in intentional thoughts into my head. And so it's a personal growth journey for me creating these pieces, but it's also a way for me to rewire my brain.
It's so fascinating. And you can almost feel like that energetic essence like coming through your pieces, like even before you even speak about it. Like something like in me when I first saw that piece that you were working on, it was something a little bit bigger to like those two pieces. And I remember just like feeling like my shoulders like dropped. and like, oh, why does that make me feel so like at ease? And it's interesting because that isn't like art that I create. So it's very rare for me to come across an artist that I feel that I um like can feel something like about in their work. And so it was just really fascinating to be like, whoa, how did he do that? Like, what's his process like? So I like leaned into it. I find your work so incredible. And for me, my work is very loose. It's very like raw and drippy, and sometimes it's even unfinished. And I think I'm realizing that I lean towards that even in my finished products as well. And before I was trying to be so meticulous about like the detail and the realism of it, and finding no, this needs to stay in its raw form. It needs to show the all the different layers of the process like in that.
I
But
think that's amazing because I'm trying to get to that too, where focusing on in the imperfections and seeing the
mm,
beauty of the imperfections. That's why I'm creating the messy art. That's why I do the mindset work that I'm doing right now with my art, because it's
mm,
all messy middle. It's not going to lead to a perfect ending. It's creating the person that I'm seeking to be. And once I get to that point, there's no getting to that point. It's just
mm,
evolutions after evolution. So um, my future me is kind of calling me to produce imperfect art at this moment.
mm.
Yeah, I'm glad that you found that that's your starting off point, and
Yeah.
mine is the complete opposite. It looks like it, but in the beginning when I started doing this, it wasn't. It was about trying to make every line perfect and every transition perfect.
Mm,
Now it's not about that at all. It's honestly just going through the process. And I don't know if I refined my eye to actually find the transitions easier.
mm.
Um, I'm not focused on perfectionism. It's just the practice itself.
It's so awesome. When I was in your studio for the first time and I was like looking at the art, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, it would be so cool to collaborate with this guy. Because if like there was a way that you could bring in your like structure to my like unsettled subject matter, I just feel like it could be such a cool like mesh of art. So
Say we do
maybe,
it. Yeah,
yeah, let's do it. Okay.
like collaboration on this podcast. We decided on it already.
Okay. There. I'll be there later today.
Okay, that.
So if we go into like your mind a little bit, like in this like meditative process that you were talking about, like what does that feel like for your body when you settle into that?
Yeah. Well, I honestly, it's stepping into my truth, I guess, and I'm hearing the inner voice where there was so much noise before. I wasn't actually able to understand who I was as a person.
Mm,
Um, so this is kind of revealing myself to the world, and revealing my art is helping reveal it's myself to myself, I guess you can say.
mm,
But as far as what I'm feeling, I call it color flow because it's kind of getting into a flow state where you lose track of time. I don't have to focus on the intuition to take over. I already know what's going to happen every step of the way. In a way, there's always
mm,
hiccups or whatever it is, but
yeah.
I let go and just give myself to the colors themselves and the shapes, and I find a sense of just calmness and losing track of time. I forget to eat sometimes, and I get out of that state, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm hungry. Or if I stay in way too long, I'm like drained. So it's a workout for my brain. Where when I was a kid, I wish I had that because I would have felt tired, and like a sense of recovery was needed. Um,
Mm,
and my body was the same way as a kid. So I knew that that was possible through my body, but I did a lot of sports and I was tired as heck when I was younger.
Mm.
So I felt calmness in my body, but my mind was just buzzing.
Mm. This like younger self, when did you like first like get into like art? Like not even like painting, but just do you remember like the first time that you ever like had that experience with like drawing or painting or sculpture or anything of that nature?
I think I've always had this natural way of just creating. That was my way of playing.
Mm.
Was getting color pencils, and my sister and I, or my cousins, or whoever was around me, and
Mm.
if nobody was around, I just do it by myself.
Yeah.
And I would just lean into creating whatever it was that was in my head at the moment. And it wasn't necessarily shapes and patterns. It was everything.
Mm.
I loved aliens. I loved butterflies. I loved monsters. Honestly, everything came to me all at once. And I feel there's a thing where you lean into what comes natural, and art came natural to me. But
Mm.
another thing that also came natural was math. Um, you could kind of see that in my art, or I guess you can.
Yeah.
There's geometry in it, but I don't see it as something that I overthink. It's just something that comes out natural. So I lean into that.
It's fascinating because you don't meet many artists that have that. Like it's either, oh, I'm really good at math or I'm really good at art. So the fact that you combine them both and you're like, oh yeah, that's math is pretty effortless and like, yeah, art is pretty like effortless too. It's a beautiful like way like to see like what comes of that. Like your art is so cool. Like and you wouldn't think like, oh, this guy is good at math, but it's like, oh, but it makes sense that he is because it's very structured and it's very like, I don't know, like if you could see like equations, I would equate that to like what your art looks like. Like like
Yes,
in, you know.
I honestly, I was thinking about this too. Like, I don't think it's math necessarily. It's more strategy and game. So I
Mm,
found math to be a fun puzzle or a game.
nice.
So I love board games. I love strategy games. So that's, I call it strategy, but some people might call it math.
Mm. So the actual process of like you starting a piece, is it very like, do you really think it through like before you actually like take it to the canvas?
So I sketch on my computer on Illustrator,
Nice.
just because that's how I've done it. I've been doing digital instead of actual paper on pen or paper and pencil.
Mm.
Um, I sketch pretty quickly. I start off with a grid system most of the time, and I connect lines. I start designing, and it's kind of a web of chaos in the beginning, and then
Mm.
I start taking out the pieces that it's sculpting in a way, but
Mm.
digitally. So I start taking away some of the lines. I start taking away some of the shape itself, and it creates some funky shapes. Sometimes it's more um, regular, I guess. But I um, I enjoy the process of actually sketching, and that comes pretty quick. And then after sketching, I think of I think of what size I want to make it.
Mm.
I actually build the piece out. So some of my pieces aren't necessarily rectangle or squares, but they're kind of different shapes. They have different angles to them.
Like
And
that one there, right? It's like kind of
yeah,
cut at the end. Oh,
there's a few that are funky shapes, and yeah,
so you cut those from wood?
I create a frame with 2x1s and put a wood panel on top, and it's a whole woodworking process. I router them and sand them and wood fill them, and I
Wow.
feel like that part of it is also super enjoyable because it's loud, it's messy, it's gritty,
Mm.
and I love to see the contrast behind the building of it that's messy and crazy and chaotic,
Yeah.
and then the painting side of it, which is very like calm and delicate and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
so
like refinement is so like, it's so much part of the process, right? It's like, for me, it's those last little like bits of highlight that I'm adding to, a face or a body. I think I look forward to that most, but then I realize actually the whole process is so important to me, because if it was only about this like one little part of refinement, like it wouldn't fulfill like me as a person. Like I need that like messy, like raw state,
mm,
like in order to appreciate that like last little bit of refinement even more. But
wow.
that's just me.
You go through the same state where you go messy and then the refinement is that kind of clean and calm, or
I'm finding that I haven't been doing this particular style for very long. I'm I feel like every time I come into the studio, I'm learning so much about like my art process, and it's so rapid because I'm also part of an online uh, course, like art course. So because that's so quick, I feel like my style is changing so much. And so recently I took a break from it, and I've been noticing that when I allow myself to not focus on like proportions of, um, say like a figure, a woman or a man, and I project that first onto like my canvas, and then I take it into the studio, and then I just allow myself to set the first layer down with like spray paint and acrylic, and I do a lot of drip work, and I just make it very loose and very minimal color. I don't like to put too much color right then, because I noticed that when I've done that in the past, it gets very muddy. And so if I keep it very minimal, it still shows like the personality of myself, like in that first layer, and then it's transparent so I can still see the form underneath, like all of those like expressive strokes. And then I go in with oils. And so I do glazes, and I get in like the highlights and the darks. And then from there, I can build on like the color and like really getting into the intricacy, like of like the color dimension of the person's face. And then the final is like the highlights. And
wow,
those are like, I think that process, that end process, is where I get a little bit more like, I wouldn't say intentional, but a little bit more meticulous about where I'm placing the paint, because I have smaller brushes at that point.
wow. What an
Yeah.
interesting process. Like each one of us artists, we're all trying to find our voice and our style and keep our personality in what we create.
Yeah.
So everything you just said, wow, you're discovering who you are in a way also.
Yeah, absolutely. And this past year, I just went through so much evolution in my style, and plenty of paintings I won't even like dare to mention because it's just so scary. Like you look at that work and you think to yourself, I could never like put that out online, because someone's going to be like, that cannot be the same person creating that piece of art.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of process, a lot of experimentation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we need to go through that though. We
Yes,
need to go
it's
through all
yes,
of that.
yes. And maybe, I guess for me, I think I embrace more that process when I'm in my workshops. I actually have people embrace that really like rugged and raw and just very expressive like language. I have others like work in that space with me. And so I think it's very interesting that I don't really share that online. But I think it has to do with the fact that sometimes that part of myself can be so unknown and vulnerable. I don't know how to like share it because I'm still processing like what it is. So Yeah. Do you have like pieces like that where you're like, should I not share it?
I have
Like,
way too many pieces like that.
oh yeah.
Way too many. Yeah, which I should post. And
Mm,
there's a part of artists where we feel so vulnerable of showing, something so raw but it's very true to who we are. It's
yeah.
our development, and it's scary. It's like we don't want to go up to somebody and you're going through puberty and your voice squeaks, and it's like, but that's who we are.
Yeah.
Um, we just need to embrace the person that we are now and kind of just show up truthful, really, and connect with the people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. I I love that analogy of like you like bringing it back to like, someone who's pubescent. It's like it's so true. Sometimes I look at my work, I'm like, you're such a little ugly duckling, but you're so necessary. Like it's so necessary. Maybe not for this piece at this day and age, at this time, but for the next piece I create, it's like, oh, that's why that was necessary. Like
Right.
in the process, in the like eagle eye perspective, it's like, okay, yeah, that was important that I needed to make that ugly art.
For sure. And I don't think it's ugly art. It's truthful art. It's
Hmm.
stuff we're revealing to ourselves. It's stuff we're figuring out that the things that we like and we dislike both are good because it's revealing something that we feel connects us to helping us move forward.
Mm,
Understanding how our art can be more powerful for the next time around.
mm, absolutely. I think ultimately that's like my biggest mission of all is to just bring awareness to accessibility. Like really, by creating the art that I do, I think ultimately I just want to bring awareness to people to say you can do it too. It doesn't have to be what I'm creating, but it can be your own version of whatever you want. And it starts with that messy action. It starts with you allowing yourself to take a piece of paper and to say, hey, I'm allowed to take this pen and scribble all over that piece of paper. Or to buy yourself, I don't know, watercolors if you've never tried them and be like, I'm a grown adult and I'm allowed to try something new and suck at it for a little while. And that's okay.
I feel adults don't have enough play, or we forget to play, really.
Oh, yeah.
But another thing you just touched on, you say other people when you're teaching these workshops.
Yeah.
I feel like you're seeing the greatness in their possibilities, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard for us to see the greatness in our own possibilities as well. Um,
Yeah.
but that's why you teach. That's helping you grow too. You're seeing like, oh my God, they're creating with so much freedom, or they're expressing their emotions in such a unique way. And
Yeah.
you go back to your studio and you're like, they taught me something. How can I do the same, by myself in my own studio?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's also a huge element for me in community and creation. And so I hadn't felt that in quite a little while. I held a workshop in Spain back in 2024. And then I did a couple of online like workshops. But when I created that for myself, like this past year, oh my gosh, 2025, I saw how necessary it was like for the group to see that others could create alongside like their imperfection, alongside like in their presence, they could witness other people's presence. And that just like it like lifted the vibrational frequency of like the space.
Wow. I
Yeah.
I love it. I love all of that. And, well, it just gets me thinking. I taught a few classes. I used to do a few paint and sip parties, where my wife would make cocktails and I would guide people through paintings.
Yeah.
And I remember the most memorable parts are
Mhm.
the people that there was one person came in
Mhm.
and didn't know it was a paint and sip party. They thought it was just a sip and hang out with your friends party. The husband didn't tell the wife. The husband came and, so anyways, the wife was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to paint. I'm not good at painting. Like all these beliefs that
Yeah.
she had brought to the table. And I
Yeah.
said, don't worry, like you can just drink a little bit or not. And if you want to put paint on the canvas, feel free, but you don't have to do that either. Um, and so little by little, she started just like doing whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and then by the end, she loved it. She was the last one. I couldn't get her off the canvas. Um, she was stuck on it, and she found out that she actually loves painting and creating,
Yeah.
eh, to the point where she hired us for her birthday party.
Oh,
A couple months later, yeah, to do the exact same thing with a different painting.
oh, I love it. I love that so much because it's just like it's proof that this is like so I don't even want to say necessary, essential. Like just as like working adults, being in the grind, people who aren't in, an artistic career, like this is so necessary because they're not like exercising that creative muscle. Like they're not allowing themselves to be like in this just playful state where they can just like have that fun. And so the fact that you opened up that space and that she was the last one there, it's like, see, someone that's like straight out, like, nope, can't do this, won't do this. They actually are doing it, they can do it, and they'll continue to do it thereafter, you know?
They discovered
Oh,
something inside them that they haven't tapped into in years, or somebody took it out of them or something. But
yeah.
yeah, as artists, we just continuously reveal ourselves to ourselves in a way. I don't know a better way to say that at the moment, but
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense to me. And honestly, I think that that is why like this work is so like profound for me because I want to see what everybody can create. Like from, clay, from paint, from pen, pencil, whatever it is, like whatever your medium is, and you won't know until you go experiment and try. But everyone's art is going to be so unique to them. Like once they get into that like confidence of like, oh, this is what can create. This is also like what I want to create. I think that for the longest time I was trying to, I think, copy other artists, but I think that's also necessary. And I read it recently in Steal Like an Artist. Have you ever read that book?
I haven't. I should.
Oh, it's a great read, and it's a small read too. But he says like when you get into like this like creative process, like you need to just like see other artists that you naturally gravitate towards and try their methods, try what they're doing, and slowly you'll realize, I like that or I don't like this. And then you'll find your own way like in that. So I just I embrace that process for me. I
I
embrace that like messy stage. Like it doesn't have to look like it can be whatever it wants to be. And then I would also really enjoy like, oh, but I'm also finding myself too.
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
I did the same. I copied artists in junior high. I would go to the library because they told me to go to the library. I would get picture books, art books, and I would literally just sketch Diego Rivera, his style of painting,
Mhm.
or Botero, his style of painting, or different artists that I just found intriguing, and I just copy them. Um, but that kind of shaped me to understand how to get refine my eye for drawing, but it also what I liked and what I didn't like. But yeah, it's all part of the process for sure.
Yeah, definitely. People won't know until they try. And that's the biggest thing. Just go out and try. Like
Yeah.
just create. And I mean, so we've talked about like this whole creative like realm and this beautiful like energetics behind that. And so I want to know, like, when you create, do you believe that there is a sensual element to like what you do?
A sensual element.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. So sensual for me, I guess it's this idea of tapping into your senses,
Hmm.
and it's this idea of what lights you up. Um,
Hmm.
so yes, 100%. There's always this spark of like energy where I'm like, in my head, I'm driving and I'm like, oh, I love that idea. I need to get to the canvas. I need to get to a sketchbook and just put it on there because um, my mind is just lighting up
Yeah.
with either a certain color combination or a way that I can either make my art grow a little differently or whatever it is. Like I experiment a lot.
Mm.
And I think the idea of understanding what lights you up makes your art just that much better. And whether that art piece becomes great or just another piece that helps you grow, um, I think it's necessary for us as artists just to put it
Yeah.
out of our head, and if possible, share it with others.
Yeah. I find that sometimes if there is like, I get these downloads throughout the day and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then if it kind of dwindles, I'm like, oh, okay. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. And so when it comes back, like, okay, hey, remember we wanted to do this? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The third time, it's like, go. Like you're already overthinking it. Like you need to take this concept, either like sketching it out or just like a little loose painting of it, like however that comes, like just put it down. Or even sometimes I'll voice record myself to like remind myself that I have like this concept in mind. I did it recently with a piece of like this massive snake that I wanted to paint. And I told myself, I really want to sew together like different fabrics, um, and then stretch them onto like my canvas. And I want to play around with those different textures and this massive snake. And then when I actually like got it down on paper and then it's coming onto the canvas, I'm like, it's not how I wanted it to go. But what I've found is that, okay, now that I know that this isn't the approach that I want for this one, I do know it's like, I want a bigger canvas. I want it to be smooth and it needs to be this way because that's how I felt it. That's how I envisioned it in my mind. And so it's just like a beautiful way to, okay, this is how we're going to go again, but a little bit differently this time.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do the same. I either write them down or whatever the idea is. And then when I get to actually creating them, I'm like, it doesn't look that great. Um, or it didn't come out the way I envisioned it, or it did, but the moment passed and the spark kind of faded.
Yeah.
Is it like you said, you will do it again, and that's great. I think building on two ideas is an amazing thing. Um, but do we actually give our full idea the space, like you said, a bigger canvas? Like, do we actually commit to the big picture, or are we cutting ourselves short and cutting a lot of the corners and using small little itty bitty canvases because we just want to see it in a we don't trust whether it's going to be a masterpiece or not.
Right.
Yeah.
With this piece in particular, it's a process firstly to sew like all that fabric together. And so when you take the time to like press it out, to sew it, and then to stretch it, there is a little bit of pressure for me. There has been in the past, but for this piece in particular, there wasn't. I said, you know what, whatever comes of this piece, like it's necessary, like to just be created. in the way that I'm creating it. And so when I was actually laying, I laid down gesso onto the layers, but I think that one of the fabrics is a little bit too thirsty. And so when I then laid down my paint, it just completely sucked the color. And I was like, oh no, like this is not what I wanted. I wanted bold, big, expressive colors. And this is looking kind of muted. And so I think that's why I thought, okay, in the future, I'm going to add like another layer of gesso. I'm going to make it bigger because of the proportions. It was more of like a longer canvas. It's quite big, but it's like it's lengthwise. And I think I wanted something a little bit wider, something where I could actually like accentuate like the movement of the snake a little bit more. So I saw those things and I thought to myself, okay, this isn't the end. If you really love this concept, this idea, like you can create it again. Like it's okay.
Yeah, no, I brought that up because I used to play small and I would just do small canvases back in the day.
Mm,
Now I sometimes like question, I go big, like this piece right here.
yeah.
This was experimental and I wanted
Mm,
to do multiple patterns and just put it out. I didn't start small. In my head, I might have, in the past, I might have started off small,
mhm,
but I just didn't let that past me kind of get in the way. And I just said,
mhm,
I want to do a big piece. And I just went for it. And it was kind of intuitive. I didn't really plan it out all that much.
mhm.
Um, the ideas, the color palette excited me at first, and then the different patterns excited me. Um, and I couldn't go small. So I created another canvas that's just as big or just more horizontal.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of want to do it again, but in a different color palette and very similar. So not playing small is sometimes also exciting.
Mm,
Just the just that itself, not even what it is it's
yeah.
just thinking bigger helps you kind of grow bigger and quicker and
Yeah.
make big mess ups sometimes too.
Yeah, totally. I did a lot of that summer of last year. I took really large canvases and I just allowed myself to just, be really expressive, be really big in what I was creating. And I feel like for the body, it's so necessary because it requires you to like actually stand up. Your movement is bigger with the, paintbrush or like even my spray paints. And so like yes, I just encourage that so much. It's like just try different sizes. Like don't like limit yourself to just, you know, this little tiny canvas. And same thing with like surfaces as well. I remember last year I also tried to paint onto wood and I gave it one go and I didn't like it and then I literally that's it.
Mm.
And I'm thinking to myself, I would really like to try that again. I think I might enjoy it.
Yeah, that's my comfort zone is wood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Which is very interesting. We're talking about comfort zone and expanding our
Yeah.
comfort zone. Um, yeah, I think that's what it is. It's about thinking about what makes us uncomfortable, what is,
Mhm.
and what's going to help us expand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, expansion, like for me, is a huge, like, that's a huge thing that I've been going through these past like several years. I hired a mentor almost 3 years ago. And it's just like it's incredible when you get into those uncomfortable spaces and then you allow yourself to really stretch yourself and realize, oh wow, I can go beyond what I thought I could go. And then you get to that edge and you're like, there's a new edge. And you
Hmm.
just keep like, and I think that's so beautiful too. Like with life, you don't have to stay in this one thing if you don't want to. Like if you want to try something new, you can. Like if you want to, I don't know, just be all these different things, you can. I love this concept of expansion. And I think that a huge part of that comes with like expression and trying different things and figuring out what you like and what you don't like.
I,
So,
I feel like, well, as far as comfort zone, last year, I never did a art fair, and
mm,
I signed up for two, not thinking that I would get in either one,
mhm,
for limiting beliefs. That's what I
mhm,
thought, and both accepted me. And it was 1 month, and then 2 weeks later, or one was in the beginning of the month, and then 2 weeks later was the other one.
mhm.
And I didn't let the fear of me never doing an art fair stop me. So I decided to do both of them.
I love
Um,
it.
and it was fearful. Like mentally, I was like, "Oh, I can't do this. I don't have enough art." There was all the excuses. Like,
Mm,
am I going to make my money back? Like, yeah, all that.
yeah.
Are people going to like my art? I'm going to have to talk to them and sales and everything.
Yeah.
But I pushed all that aside and I just went for it and I did both of them. And it
Mhm.
was such a huge part of last year where I signed up again this year. It's going to happen in two months.
It's
Um,
incredible.
and I'm thinking about how can I do it bigger and better. But those
Mm,
two art fairs gave me confidence to do it again this year. And I sold more art than I've ever sold before in within those, two art fairs and within a month in a way. Um,
wow.
that excited me to focus on sales and putting myself out there and working bigger and seeing what people liked and what they gravitated to and what they didn't, and
Yeah.
talk to people and what is it that they connect to with my art. Is it
Mm. And what have you found? What did you get a lot of feedback from people at
well
the fairs?
they really like I journaled behind a lot of my pieces, so I put like my journals. I glued them on the back of it. If you have canvas, don't glue anything on the back of canvases. I found out, because then you kind of see an indent in the front. Um,
Mm,
but on wood, totally glue everything on there. But I've told my personal growth journey
mm,
and why I created, um, and the connection of their own busy life and how they
mm,
wanted a little piece of order and balance into their life, even if it's a reminder within my art pieces that just sparks a little bit of calmness or reset.
mm,
And I felt like I was helping them and loved the connection, and I enjoyed the conversations where we talked about growing as people, because
mm.
that's what we do. That's what we need to do. It's not just about me, it's about, everybody around me. And it's really nice to and plus I love seeing my art in other people's houses. So
Oh, yeah. What an honor, right? That someone is like so moved by something that you created and they live with that every day of their life. Like what other profession can really do that, you know? Like come into someone's space and be so like heartfelt to someone, you know, on a regular basis. Like there's not many like professions that can do that. I mean, other than like interior
I
design or
know
something like that, you know? But
we
yeah,
add to the interior design too.
oh yeah, absolutely. I think that that is a realm that I'm also kind of figuring out if I want to go into, like if I want to, you know, collaborate with like with an interior designer and I don't know, maybe in the future, but for now I'm just allowing myself to really play and just create like whatever wants to be created and yeah, just
Being
experiment
ready, experiment, or being ready for the opportunities that come. So
that too.
if an interior designer wants to work with you,
Oh,
mm,
I'm game.
yeah,
Yes.
open to it.
Yes, always. I'm always open to collaborating with other artists. And like I have a couple of projects in the works right now, but I feel like for some people it takes a little bit of time to actually like get the ball rolling. And that's also part of my process that I'm really realizing I need to like hone in on is that patience because sometimes for me it can be very quick. I can turn out a piece like in a matter of 2 days.
Wow.
And it, especially with collaboration, because there's this beautiful drive for me with other people. It's like this natural energetic energy that I feel when I'm like creating something with another person, versus just for myself. I can be a little bit critical. I could be a little bit more decisive and, oh, do I really want to do that? Or why would I create that type of, energy behind it? So when I'm creating with others, it's just very quick. And so I
Mhm.
think that's also why the workshops are just naturally like coming to me, because it's really easy to be like with other people in these settings. So yeah.
I love the idea of running instead of slow walking for sure. Yeah, and
I do love a slow walk every now and then,
find
but.
but you gotta find your tribe that you're able to run with too. And
Yeah.
your slow walking you could have a tribe of them that too, but if you wanna grow quicker and get into that person that you're, you know, wanting to be, try
Yeah.
to run there as quick as possible because we're, that future me is waiting and I can't wait to meet that future me and remember this me of the past and being like, "Ah, just run already."
I feel like a lot of time in my work, it's about like slowing down. And
Mhm,
so my workshop is called The Art of Presence. And
mhm,
I feel like a lot of the time, like I'm in that state too, that running state of just like next, next, next. And then I look around, I'm like, wait a minute. There was a point in my life when I was looking at this future self and saying, I want her so bad. I want to be her. And then looking around and be like, I am her. Like, look at my space that I live in. I have a studio now. Like, I'm creating art for a living, like all these different things. And it really brings me back to like presence so that I can go into that running state. It's almost like that slowing down before you speed up type of
right. I
energy.
agree. Reflect because
Yeah.
we forget what we like. I'm in a studio. I get to paint.
Yeah.
I get to paint. It's my younger self would be smiling, would be
Yeah.
probably crying that, you know, I didn't I'm not somewhere else.
Yeah. Like we did this. Like
Yeah,
we made this. Like what?
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I give a
And
high five to my younger self.
and he's looking up at you like, yeah, we did
Yeah,
it.
for sure. It was a journey for sure though.
Mm,
There was so many limiting beliefs that I had to overcome and that I'm continuing to overcome because there's still many that
yeah.
I'm carrying. And it comes from culture, it comes from schools, it comes from the adults that developed us as, young kids, our teachers. There's so much that we carry throughout our life,
Yeah.
shedding of all this stuff so we can, you know, just be who we want to be
Yeah.
is the ultimate goal.
Yeah. And like that's what life like is all about. Like it's about that beautiful like death and rebirth process like over and over again. Like I see it so much like in nature, and which is why I constantly come back to nature when I need to like be reminded like of myself and my source energy. I go into nature and I feel the moss, or I just breathe in like the fresh air, and I allow myself to just completely be like in that present like state to really like just experience life. And then I go into the studio and like see that energy. Like that is why we create, because we are showing people like we're showing ourselves. Honestly, like I feel like I'm showing myself like a deeper part of myself when I paint, when I create with color, when I can surprise myself and look back and be like, I made that? Like this is what? Like I that's my favorite. Surprising others, but surprising myself like is the best.
I agree. I agree. Like when I finish a painting, I actually put it away because I can't see it. Well, no, like, it's not that I can't see it. It's just like I've been looking at it for so long
Yeah.
that I put it away. So when I come back with a fresh eye, I'm seeing it in a new perspective.
Yeah. It's almost like if you're too close, you're just like, you're not going to get like the extent of like what it was like that you created. I sometimes like feel that way too with like certain pieces that I've been a little bit judgmental over. I'll
Mhm.
put it away. I won't look at it for maybe like weeks or months. And then when I pull it out again, I'm like, why was I so hard on myself? Like, this is awesome. It just needs a little bit here, a little bit there, and like, you're fine.
Yeah, I put away a piece for a couple years, and then
Yeah.
I actually bring it back, and I'm like, this is the best piece I've created. I swear. Like, I'm like, oh my, why was I hating on it in the
Mm,
beginning? But there
yeah.
was so many limiting beliefs that I had to overcome when making that piece that I
Mhm.
feel I needed to put it away. And then it revealed itself and the greatness that it was and what I worked through. And I'm like, yeah, I've created a few pieces like that I've sold that
Mhm.
I'm like, I would probably buy it back just because um,
Wow, that's
pieces of,
powerful.
yeah, they were powerful pieces. Yeah.
Mm,
But at the same time, I'm not attached to most of my pieces because it fuels my growth, and I
yeah.
see that it's not it's not mine anymore. It's my growth is just moving forward, and it's necessary to fuel the money, the transactions, the all that helps me grow and grow my art.
Mm. So when you're processing, like, take me through like processing a limiting belief for you. Like one like way that you feel like, okay, this is how I do it like with my art.
Well, it's usually about uh, let's say well, it goes back to when I was a kid. It was hard for me to learn, so I was told, I wasn't smart or anything like that.
Mm,
I wasn't enough. I was, not like the other kids, and I didn't realize being other or being different was actually my superpower. So
yeah.
it's my art is always understanding the limiting beliefs, the pain points of what I carry and not seeing them as a negative, but something that made me different, that made me actually great. It's
Mm,
something,
yeah.
my imperfections are my greatness. The fact that I couldn't think like everybody else, but now I understand how my brain works, I feel is my superpower. It's not
Mm,
what's holding me back anymore. So those limiting beliefs kind of fade into the background. And I create my art with that in mind. The idea that I'm rewiring my brain and understanding who I am because the past me needs to just, I need to let go of those beliefs so I can find myself.
mm. So the first time that you started dabbling in, like, so 10 years ago when you first started dabbling into the art world, like, take me through like what that felt like to actually like see that first like really big limiting belief. Like, did you like struggle like a lot like when you first started out, or did you feel like it kind of like moved
I
through?
didn't know what it was. So
Mm,
my first piece that I remember that was very powerful and was a, limiting belief or personal growth um, piece.
mhm,
I titled it Rising Star before I created it. So
mm,
rising stars, plural. I created stacks and stacks of paper, and I cut them out in different shapes so they could all form into stars. And it was a composition with a bunch of stars, about 8 of them, we'll say.
mhm,
We're all unique. And this idea that we're all individuals and we all have different backgrounds and layers of different things that create us. And each one is different, but each one is so beautiful. It's so unique, and we should embrace our uniqueness and our brilliance. And that was the spark of you know, this whole thing, really. Rising stars, it's not just me seeing my greatness, it's about seeing the greatness in others. And you coach or you do workshops. I've done a few workshops, and I see so much greatness in others that it's fun to see and help others see it in themselves.
Yeah. What a beautiful, like, symbolic piece of like that beginning, like of where it's gonna like lead you, you know? So if you could like send a message to yourself from all those years ago and give yourself maybe like some words of encouragement or some words of advice, like maybe there's someone out there that's also experiencing something similar to what you were going through, like at the beginning of your artistic journey, like what would you tell them?
Get messy. Really. Do be consistent, get messy, find your voice, and make progress, because progress is seeing the big picture and chunking it up down to little bitty pieces.
Hmm.
Those little pieces are what create the big extraordinary things.
Mm, I love that so much. And it's so non-intimidating. It's like when you can actually like see like little bite-sized pieces, you're like, oh, that's easy. Like little by
Right.
little, like little step by step.
Get to the studio
Yeah.
and work for 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, you're like, well, I could do, another 10.
It's never just 10 minutes.
Right, right. But
No.
give yourself easy wins.
Yeah.
So yeah, draw every day for 5 days or once a week if you're
Yeah.
not a creative person.
Yeah.
Easy wins over time create big, extraordinary things.
Yeah. I tell that to my partner. I really love like encouraging him just to create for himself. And, even in a little way, he comes home from work and it's like, hey, like, are you gonna paint? Like, just paint a little bit, paint a base layer. Like, and every time he does it, he realizes how much like better he feels, like just in doing that one thing. Like it could just be painting like a canvas red. And he's like, wow, like I feel so much better. And when you add like creativity to your life, like in those little ways, again, it like builds over time. And you realize how much like you want to create and how necessary it is and how essential it is just for us as human beings.
Mhm.
Yeah. Andy, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and talking to me. This has been such an awesome conversation, and I really appreciate you and your incredible art that you're putting out into the world. So, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for putting me on this podcast because this is actually my first podcast, just to let you know.
Yay! Oh
Um,
my gosh, I'm honored then. So,
Yay. Something that I didn't really see as fearful, but I probably would have in the
mhm.
past. But connecting with you beforehand and just having a conversation, honestly,
Yeah.
this is what creatives should do more often. And we should connect and exchange energy, exchange this magic that we have.
I agree completely. And honestly, like to any artist out there that's even, a little bit curious about having a podcast or being on a podcast, like do it. Like your voice is so necessary in the world. Like more people like you and me and all the other people that have been on here, like it is so essential for just our growth as a human like species. And I think more and more, like just my belief is that the more we go into a day and age of like artificial intelligence where everything can be done perfectly for you, your imperfection, your rawness is going to be so like necessary for just each other.
I agree to both. I agree. I agree. People want real
Yes.
people,
Yes.
connection.
Always. I will always choose like a painting that was created by an individual over like something printed at like Walmart or something lame like that.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah.
But
So
thank you
thank
again
you.
so much for having me on this first podcast of mine, not yours. You've been doing it for a while.
Just a little while. So where can people find you?
You could find me on Instagram at Lepe_Andy.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to add that to the description as well so that people can find you just way more easily too.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Sensual Canvas Podcast. And thank you again to Andy Lepe for coming on and just opening up about his beautiful creative journey. I've only known Andy a short while, but it's people like him that make me so excited to connect further to this work. And being around these creative, like-minded individuals is so nourishing that having them on is just such a treat for me. And to expand like the energetics of what they're doing and also what I'm creating, it's a real honor for me to hold this space and also to just meet so many incredible people. Keep an eye out because we'll be collaborating very soon. I'd like to also mention that the art featured in my podcast is available to purchase. So if there's a piece that is sticking out to you, you're wondering if it's available, if it hasn't been sold already, you can also view it on my website, and I'll link that down below along with Andy's information. Give this video a like, give it a subscribe, all that good stuff so that I can continue to do this type of work. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means so much for you to tune in and listen, and I look forward to the next one.